Hey guys, so in today's video I'll be teaching you how to build a pretty good guns that have no recoil, as well as pretty much everyone can use them. So let's start with the video. First things first, we're gonna start with the assault rifles. For the example, we're gonna use the CI-19, which is I think one of the most difficult guns to build. Okay, so here we have a gun without any attachments. We're gonna start with the CI-19 since I think it's one of the most difficult guns to build. So usually the first thing I do is just I equip the barrel. The barrel I usually choose is the one that gives you the highest amount of range, because I always want the extra control and stability, and I think this is pretty much the key to make the recoilless guns. As next, what I would recommend you to check out is the rear grip. Usually you're gonna have more choices in this section, but since we are using the Chinese gun, we only have two options. Usually I would recommend you to not care about the handling first. You stack up everything with stability and control, and then you're gonna try to fix it. The next thing I usually equip is the magazine. There is pretty much no story. Usually you're gonna have 45 or 60 meg. I don't really use 60 bullets max because they really fuck up the handling, as well as I don't really see the point of having this many bullets. You need around 4 or 5 bullets to get a kill anyways. So I usually choose the 45, and I think that's pretty much a sweet spot. And then we can equip the mount mag because we don't really have to think of it. The next things that we can attach are the foregrip and the muzzle. So for the muzzle, we can usually see the recoil over here, how it behaves pretty much, and we can see that this one is gonna read us pretty much nothing, but if you put this one, for example, it's gonna change the recoil quite a bit. And here, I would say we have to approach when we check the patterns. The first one is gonna be, we fully read us the vertical recoil, so we don't really have to pull down the mouse, but at the same time, we need to worry a little bit about horizontal recoil, but then you are kind of going to track the people, which means the horizontal recoil is not gonna be that much of the issue, and usually you're gonna get a kill in less than 10 bullets. So I'm gonna say it's up to you how you're gonna play. Another approach you can try to choose is to reduce the horizontal recoil fully, and in this way you only need to pull down your mouse downwards, which means it's also easy to control, and you will not have to worry about the horizontal recoil at all. So I usually try to use the one with the horizontal recoil reduction. For the sake of this video, I will do the double horizontal reduction, but even if you command the attachment, you should be fine. So in this case, we can see the CI is kicking quite a lot to left and right, so I think applying the horizontal attachments will be very fine. For the foregrip, we kind of have two choices. First one, we can apply the K1, which reduces our horizontal recoil, but what I really like to do is, I usually combine the horizontal bastion with this grip. We're gonna lose a little bit of vertical, but since we are applying this thing, it shouldn't really be the concern, because we're still gonna just pull down the mouse, and that's pretty much all you need to do with these attachments. For the stock, we have plenty of options, but as you can see, the CI kind of suffers from having a very bad handling, so what I would recommend you to do is, I would sacrifice a little bit of control as well as hipfire accuracy, since we're not really gonna do that, and I usually like to put the sniper skeleton stock. As you can see, this one gives us a lot of handling, which you can later utilize, and we can compensate the lack of control with the badges. For the optics, it's pretty much up to your preference. I would avoid the bigger zooms, especially on the ARs, but if you want to use the best sight, in my opinion, this is the panoramic red dot. It's probably the most clear sight. I think it doesn't really cover much of your screen, and it's also the dot that you should be able to see quite easily. Okay, so for now, we've got pretty alright handling, good stability, but I think we are lacking a little bit of the control. So what we can do is we can stack up the patches for the control. Now I purposely left one of the slots without the patch, because what I think you should always do is attach the laser sight. Even if you don't use the laser, and it says that it's gonna give you the handling off, it's always gonna give you a little bit of handling when it's on. So still, I would recommend using this one. And on top of that, you can also use the laser sight aiming, which you can really use in CQB. And then you pretty much ignore all of the ADS time and handling, which is gonna give you a huge advantage. For the CI-19, I would probably avoid adding any of the gas blocks. I mean, this one could maybe work if you want to make it more of like sniper rifle, but I don't really think it's valid anymore. This one, however, fucks everything up. I'm just gonna say, if you use neither, you're gonna be very fine. For the calibrations, you usually wanna do everything to the right, since those are usually the best calibrations. The other goal with calibrations is pretty much to stack up as much control and firing stability as we can, while sacrificing other things that are not really useful. So for example, for the barrel, we definitely need the firing stability, but for this one, we can actually think if we want the muzzle velocity or not. I always put it to plus 9%, but I think if you decide to go with ADS time, I would say the velocity is probably more worth it than the ADS time, which you're not really gonna feel, especially if you use the laser sight. For the grips, there is not much to say, we just do both to the right, since we want to stack up the control and stability. For the stock, we also do double right. I don't think there is really any other option, because we are also stacking up what we need. For the optics, however, this one is pretty much a preference. What I usually like to do is I like to move my crosshair closer to the eye, and then I put the zoom to maximum to the left. What it's going to make is, I will show you quickly. In the firing range, you can see, this is pretty much the one-time scope. And this is also one time, so I kind of ignore the camera movement, which in my opinion makes it easier to focus on shooting, and I don't know, I think the zoom is pretty much enough for me. As you can see, the gun behaves like this. We have pretty like alright handling, I would say. The control is definitely there, like... I'm surely able to use this gun. For those who are really worried about the ADS time and stuff, just look at this. What we can do pretty much is we can just jump around. And we can kill them in the air like this. Or let's just say we can ADS, or we can just do this. I can see there is not much issue with this. For the SMG, the story is a little bit different, but not for every single one, because some of the SMGs really require the stability, and then we have to sacrifice a little bit of the accuracy. And I think accuracy is pretty valid on SMGs, since we can really use them in close range, and we're gonna outperform most of the guns in close range. So for example, MP5 is gonna be the great example of the gun we can easily use in close combat, and we can pretty much rely on it with the hip fire. The really good gun, I would say, is for the hip fire. We used to be the SR3, but since it got nerfed, I don't think it's really worth it anymore. For the SMGs, you can also consider swapping the badges for handling, for example, to the ones that gives you accuracy. For example, in this one, we can make like 60 accuracy, and we should be pretty accurate already. As we can see, it should be pretty fine. Yeah, so like up to like 10-20 meters, we're gonna be very fine with the hipfire accuracy. If it's possible, I would recommend you guys to use the sniper skeleton stock if you can. You should be using this one in case the gun suffers from handling. For example, this gun has very bad handling by default. If I apply any other stock, you can see it's gonna be around 27. Some people will say it's probably enough, but I think I wanna have a little bit more of handling, so I'm a bit more mobile when I shoot. If I am more mobile while shooting, that also means the enemies will have more difficult time with hitting me, so that can pretty much lead to the one gunfight. For the SMG, I will use the MP5 as the example. I think this is one of the guns that pretty much are somewhat difficult to build. So what I would say is, on this gun, what I'm gonna say is, let's just put 50 meg right away. Because we definitely need it, because this gun shoots over 800 RPM. So we're gonna run out of the bullets very quickly. For the barrel, usually I mentioned that I put the barrel that gives you the highest amount of range, but in this case, this gun is gonna lack stability. So what I'm gonna do is I will sacrifice 1 meter of the range at the cost of the stability. And as you can see, we're gonna keep the same amount of slots that we can use to put the badges on. So I think it's a pretty fair deal. For the stack, we don't really suffer from bad handling this much, and I think it's gonna read us a little bit of handling, but we get over 10 positive statistics. Speaking of the attachments, try to find which attachment is gonna give you the most benefits. So let's just say we're gonna put this one. It's gonna give you plenty, but we lose a lot. But we also get the range, which is pretty valid. I think in this scenario, we will end up using this one, because we definitely need the horizontal control. We can go to the pattern and see that, yeah, this gun is gonna be pretty shaky, especially while shooting. Okay, so since we have the horizontal recoil done, we can put, I think, some vertical control. I think this one will be enough. It's gonna cost us a little bit of the horizontal control, but do we really care when we have the badge on? And you can see the comp pattern is becoming pretty fine. For the badges, I would simply recommend putting the badge for the stability, because that's what we need to stack up. Now the thing that I usually face with is, should I use the riser optics or no? Well, I would normally say no, because as you see, the riser gives us the negatives to the firing stability. But in this case, we're gonna need it, because we need to increase the stability and we don't really need the recoil control. And on top of that, we can also attach the laser. So we can do the laser. and the red dot. And that's pretty much how I would build this gun. And the calibrations are gonna be the same. Everything to the right. As you can see, the gun is kicking a little bit, but I can surely tell you that it's more than usable. Like, especially when you strafe and move, it's very fine. The battle rifles and LMGs are the guns that I would say belong to the same category, since they're gonna suffer from handling a lot, so I think putting something for the handling, such as this stock, is gonna help us a lot. Let's use the M250 as our example. So, as we can see, this gun has nothing. It has some stability, which is fine. We're surely gonna need handling, and we need to stack up more control. So what we're gonna do with the LMG is, first we stack up control and everything, then we worry about handling. That's pretty much the rule of the thumb. Okay, here we are in the moment where we have this gun for now like this. It looks pretty solid, but we have no handling. So now the question is, do we really want to suffer with handling and we go through it by using laser sight only, or are we trying to fix that? In my opinion, if you are a more experienced player, you can surely live with 20 handling, maybe even less. But what I will say is, just use the stock and all of the issues will be gone. We're not gonna hip fire anyways, we don't need it. The control, I mean, we don't really lose much, because we're gonna stack it up anyways. And we can do the optics now. All the calibrations, the default calibrations, everything to the right. Okay, let's see how the gun handles. As we can see, it's alright. The handling isn't the worst. We have the laser sight, which is pretty fine. I think the gun is very stable and you should be able to use that very easily. For the shotguns, I would say the rule is pretty much you should try to stack up as much accuracy as you can, because for the shotguns, as you can see, there's not much difference in the range. Like, look at this. Like, I can still one-shot people. Like, doesn't matter if I ADS or not. One important thing that I would like to highlight is that you should get the booster loader. Like, this is pretty much what you need for a shotgun, because otherwise the shotgun is gonna like reload for ages. For the maximum rifles, try to find range control and stability attachments. You barely are going to need any handling, because these guns are not really made to fight in close range, so we can pretty much, choose the best barrel. Sometimes we can even think of sacrificing a little bit of handling. It's kind of up to you, but sometimes I think, do I really need 8 meters and sacrifice 11 handling, With these rifles, it's kind of going to matter. But with the ARs, if it's like the difference of 2-3 meters, it matters much more. For the sniper rifles, I would say similar thing. Pretty much try to stack up the range, unless you're gonna do the AWM, for the example, for the close range fights, then I'm gonna put a small scope. I'll try to keep the firing rate, the R93, the same story. I'm trying to make the handlings higher because I'll be fighting in close range, and I'm trying to increase the RPM. So for example, I will not use this barrel because it's gonna kill my RPM, which is already pretty low anyways. I think that will be it in this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope the tips helped you out, and I will see you in the next video. See ya.